Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ask Pastor Keith. And here he is, Pastor Keith. How are you doing today?
Doing okay, thank you.
All right, all right. We're just going to go straight into the question. And so here's the question for today. The question is hell a real place or metaphorical? And a follow-up question to that is, when is the right time to talk to children about the topic of hell?
Okay, so let's tackle the second one first. I would not talk about hell that much. I emphasize heaven rather than hell, especially to children. But we need to talk about permanently being separated from God, and that's basically what hell is. So going back to the scripture, Jesus is the one who really defined hell. And he used the word Gehennas. Gehennas means Valley of the Hinnom Brothers. That's what it means, actually. And it is very significant. He actually called that place as hell and used that as an object lesson, so to speak. Because Jerusalem is basically a little mount, and upon it the city of David and the Jerusalem proper with a temple and everything. And it is kind of surrounded by a ravine because of its mount. And the ravine, one side of it, is currently the Palestinians are living there, is a place where they used to worship idols since the time of Solomon's temple. So Solomon, as you remember, had many wives, and these wives brought their idols and all that kind of things, including milcom, which required sacrifice of children, rolling them in the fire and stuff. And that happened in that area, the Valley of Hinnom Brothers. So when Jerusalem was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar, and when they came back and rebuilt the temple, that area was used as an incinerator for garbage, trash, right? So they'll bring out that once they worship idols there, so they consider that as a cursed place, especially after the exile, because they knew now why they were punished or driven out of the country. So when they came back, that was a cursed place, and so they used that as an incinerator for trash of the Jerusalem. There's a fire continually burning in that area. So it is significant that Jesus chose that as an object lesson to point out what hell is really like. Because Isaiah talks about it in chapter 66, but it's long forgotten. And as a result, people are philosophizing hell, or even theologically. Even today, a lot of theology, even evangelical, some of the evangelicals cannot handle this. If God is loving, how could this be permanent? It may be short, maybe people are destroyed and go out of existence, and so on and so forth. But that's not Orthodox faith. If that is the case, what did Jesus save us from? So that begs even bigger question. So traditional and Orthodox view of hell is a permanent place, and it's a real place. It's not metaphorical. And so people have this problem because they don't understand how far and outworldly God is from ourselves. Somehow the gap between God and us is not that high, that God has to play fair according to our sense of justice and fairness. God is not bound to that. We know the universe, as vast as it is a speck of dust called Earth. Out of that, currently more than 7 billion people, and God has shown favor by the blood of His Son Jesus, and provide a way so that we may not be permanently separated from Him. That grace, that if you're going to call that that favor of the king, mighty king who's high and above everything else, and shown favor to us who we have no inherent value of our own. And because of that, rejecting the gospel message or what God has done out of our lives, and I can live without you, thank you very much, that is basically sin. That separation from God, once our body dies or expires, that separation becomes permanent. There's no other choice after that. Okay, so now Catholics believe there's a purgatories, and after that, even a believer that need to be made perfect from there and go into all that. But that is not from the scripture. That actually mirrors a lot to do with the Greek mythology of Hades and netherworld and stuff like that, which was actually the belief of Hebrews in Old Testament. Sheol is about the same place, shadowy place. Jesus is the one who defined, and he says, today you'll be with me in paradise. Is no purgatory. It's right there, So hell is a real place. We don't know what it's going to be like because we're going to have a new bodies, and it's a new heaven and new earth is promised. So that is in that context of things. We don't know what exactly it's going to be like, but Jesus has warned the listeners, hearers of Jesus, it's going to be as real, as grotesque as Gehennas that they see and experience. So it is a serious thing, and so when Jesus saved us from permanent separation from God, that's a state. Permanent separation from God is hell in itself. God sends no one to hell. We choose to go, all right? And that's a problem, right? So that's the enemy who's trying to keep us so distracted and so immersed in other things. So we don't even believers don't take this seriously. That's a problem today. So this question seems like it's a very basic question, but it actually is very important in the whole of our faith, right? And to teach our children about this is necessary. There's a consequence for our decisions and all that, but the heaviness of this topic is I don't think children can understand the grace and love of God, how much of that we have received because who He is, entirely different being. It's not just like grandfather figure we are talking about. And so without understanding that much grace, how much love we have received, we are emphasizing terrible consequences of rejecting that message. I don't think it will be a healthy worldview. So we have to wait until they have to mature to a certain point. Certainly, we shouldn't use it as a boogeyman to scare the kids or discipline the kids, right? And so, definitely.
Okay. Well, I hope this will really help us to be focused in our faith. There's so many distractions that are happening, and so as you're tuning in, that you will have a focused walk with the Lord. And so thank you again for tuning in to our Ask Pastor Keith, and keep on joining us every week. All right.